Alright, my trip's over. Oh, listen to that. After I refueled, I was just walking around the bike. I thought, I don't know, just while we've been on the blacktop, it was just something about the bike that wasn't right. I thought it might have been tyres scrubbing out or something. Anyway, after I refueled, I was walking around the bike having a look, and I copped a hit a couple of 100 kilometres ago. It was a big hit. It hit a gully, hit a dip that I didn't see because it was in the shadows. Anyway, I knew it was a big hit when it happened. I thought I might have blown a shock or something. It was, like I say, a big hit. But anyway, the bottom line is I've broken the torsion bar or the torque rod or whatever it's called at the back end of the bike. So yeah, my trip's over. Well, g'day and welcome to another Mongrel Dog production. And welcome to the airport here at Uluru or Ayers Rock here in Central Australia. I'm about to board a flight from here to Sydney and from Sydney to Perth after having to abandon my motorcycle here. I was supposed to be on a 12-day adventure ride. I'm not quite sure how it's come to this. Anyway, grab your gear. Let's go. I'm looking forward to getting out of the city. Alright, here we are again. Geez, I hope the audio is better on this vid than a couple of the other ones. I'm always trying to improve the audio where I can. I've gone out and bought a different helmet, this one with a visor, and I hope that it provides a little less wind buffering, but anyway, we'll see how we go. Yeah, just on my way to meet up with Chris number 2. It's still winter here in Perth, clear skies, but along with clear skies of course comes pretty cool temperatures, so I'm wearing a few layers. But yeah, we'll meet up with Chris. We'll then get out of town for about 15 minutes and meet up with Chris number 1, and then from there we'll keep heading sort of east most of today and find a bush camp. We're on our way to a motorcycle rally, a rally called Desert Raid 2023. Welcome aboard. No, I'm early for a change. Time to get a cup of coffee and something to eat. Right. We're both a bit anxious but excited. It's been a little while since both of us have been on the bikes on a trip like this anyway. On a big trip. When I say big trip, it's going to be about 7,000 kilometres over the course of about 14 days. So yeah, we'll go up to Gidgegannup, pick up Chris, and then start heading eastwards. Alright, this is the small community of Gidgegannup. We're pretty much on schedule, so Chris should be here, Chris number 1, and he should be on his Ural. He'll only be coming out with us overnight, just an overnighter for him, and he'll return to Perth tomorrow. Oh, I can't see him, it means we're early. I don't think he'll be far behind us. Do you want to set the pace? Yeah, 2J Gamelling.
You happy to keep up?
Welcome aboard, Chris.
Yeah, mate. How's Frank?
Alright, the three stooges are together. Chris can set the pace. That thing travels okay on the highway. He'll probably sit on about 90, I guess. I don't know. We've chosen this road only because there's less traffic on it. And once we get out of town, so to speak, the traffic will thin out. We'll take some minor back roads. Pulled over for roadworks. We're going through the Avon Valley at the moment. Pretty damn cold, down to 3 degrees. Yeah, beautiful country during winter time, all farmland. During summer it's a different story. So it gets pretty dry pretty quickly out here. But this time of year, beautiful. Alright, this is a small community called Muckenbudden. We're all going to have to refuel here because the next fuel stop for us is 424 kilometres away. So we'll find, there's the Bowser there. So yeah, we'll refuel and get a bite to eat and then continue on. No fuel sold here. I do remember ringing up this place, and there is a 24/7 reseller somewhere using a debit card. We'll see how we go. Alright, we've had something to eat and we've refueled. Got a guts full of food and fuel. We'll leave here, Muckenbudden. We've got another 100 kilometres of blacktop before we get to a small community called Bullfinch. There's nothing there, a few homes, no services. And then we'll head up the Bullfinch Everston Road. Sunset is at 5:30, so we'll start looking for a bush camp around 4 o'clock. That'll give us time to set up our camp, gather some firewood. It's going to be cold tonight. We'll need a big fire, I think. We've just pulled over just outside Bullfinch. Bullfinch exists because of that, what used to be a gold mine. That's closed years ago. There's nothing out here anymore. So yeah, we've got about, I don't know, 20 kilometres of blacktop, and that'll be the last blacktop we see for, well, any considerable amount of blacktop that we'll see for the next couple of weeks. Most of it'll be gravel roads and red dirt. Well, it's about that time of day that we start looking for a bush camp. Got to be a bit careful because looks like there's a lot of still water around, so the ground could be a bit soft. Must have had some recent rainfalls here in the last couple of days, and quite a bit of it, I think. So the other consideration is we've got a sidecar with us, so we can't just go ploughing through the bush. Oh, I think this will probably do. We don't have to be too far off the road. Oh, there's a cleared area further back, and it'll get us 100 metres off the road, I'll say. I think this will do. Well, and so ends day one. Pretty seamless day, really. Nothing out of the ordinary. I'm carrying quite a bit of weight on my bike. I sometimes get criticised for leaving home on dodgy tyres, dodgy rubber. I've left Perth with a couple of runouts, both front and rear, only because tyres for these big adventure bikes are bloody expensive. They don't last long. I've got a brand new set of Karoo 3s on the back with me, but I'll probably only get about 5,000 or 6,000 Ks out of them. A new set of those wasn't going to last the trip, so
I'm running out these tyres fitted to the bike currently. They'll get me to Alice Springs, I hope. If they fail before that, I'll just stick on the Karoo 3s regardless of where we are. And by the time we get to Alice, those Karoo 3s will get me back to Perth. But there won't be much life left in them after that, I don't think. So yeah, like I say, these tyres are damned expensive. Anybody who owns a big adventure bike knows what I'm talking about. So I'm keen to get as many kilometres out of each tyre as I can.
Alright, morning of day 2. Bloody cold. Bloody cold. From here, Chris number 1, that guy on the Ural, he's heading back to Perth. Chris and myself will continue heading towards, in this case, Menzies for fuel, and then towards Laverton and Great Central Road. Yesterday I mentioned just about the size of the load that I'm carrying. I just want to mention for you young grasshoppers, what you want to try and do is get your load centre over the rear wheel, the rear axle. Sometimes you can't do that. I mean, in this case, the way the bike's been set up, I can only get my panniers so far forward. The further forward you can get it, the better off you'll be. You don't want too much overhang at the back. I'm sure we've all seen those examples of trailers when they're loaded incorrectly, and if you get any sort of sway, it can be compounded, especially if it's been loaded incorrectly. So if you were to have a tank slapper on a motorbike at speed, having any load overhanging at the back is going to just make things a whole lot worse. So yeah, try and get your load as far forward as possible. Chris here is going to go left and we'll turn right. Alright, we've had to pull over in Menzies, obviously, to get fuel. Had a bite to eat. This place, Menzies, like a lot of other small regional towns, is just dying slowly but surely. I mean, there's a mine here, an operating mine, but with the introduction of fly-in, fly-out workers, there's just nothing to keep these small communities going anymore, apart from a bit of tourist traffic, through traffic. Anyway, yeah, from here, head north on the blacktop here for about 30 k's, then turn off and head towards Kukaini and then on to Laverton. Welcome to Kukaini, another abandoned old gold mining town. The Grand Hotel, been on the market for years now. This is part of the Golden Quest Discovery Trail, which is a big loop through the goldfields, points of interest. And if it wasn't for that, I don't think this place would get any through traffic at all. Well, this is Laverton. This is the last of civilization for about 1,200 kilometres. From here we get on Great Central Road and it's all unsealed for that distance, 1,200 k's. Just wondering if we can get a cup of coffee at this new visitor centre. I don't think we can. Looks pretty shut up to me, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, from here, Great Central Road, and between here and Uluru or Ayers Rock, is pretty much nothing except 3 roadhouses. And the facilities there are pretty basic. So it would have been good to get a nice cup of coffee from here. Yeah, I'll wait for Chris, he's just refuelling, and we'll come up with a strategy and take it from there. Aurelia, Warburton and Alice Springs. Straight ahead. Central Road, open all traffic. Most times this road's in good shape. The time of the day again when we've got to start looking for a camp. We've just passed a track that I think might lead us to the old alignment. We'll see how we go. Yeah, we found a spot this will do. I think it might have been part of the old engineer camp or something when they were building the road or realigning it. There's some infrastructure here, an old wind pump. But yeah, this will do. We're a couple hundred metres away from the road, so nobody's going to see the fire from there. Well, it's the morning of day 3. We've woken to the news that West Australia has had an earthquake, primarily from northern all the way south down to Albany, about 5-ish on the Richter scale. What I've heard on the radio this morning is no reports of major damage or injury. I guess we'll find out more once we get a radio signal or a Telstra signal and be able to check the news then. Just having a bit of a walk around while I'm waiting for the water to boil. When we got here last night, I thought this might have been an old engineer camp, but I don't think that's the case. I think it was actually a property. I think it was actually used for grazing cattle or something. There's the remnants of an old wind pump behind me, and there's a drinking trough. And you wouldn't have sheep out here, I wouldn't think. I'm surprised you would have any grazing animal out here. But yeah, my guess is it was once used for grazing cattle. That's how I was able to pick up that track coming in. They would have used that as a track to gain access to the pump and the like. And this is what a wombat hole looks like. Not too much sign of any animal going in or out of that for a little while. So my guess is that's uninhabited. All right, morning of day. Day what? Day 3. Just it doesn't take long before you lose track. We're slightly behind schedule, not that that matters a whole lot. We've allowed lots of time to get to our final destination, which is Jupiter Well, so it's no big deal. We might try and make up a little bit of time today, but because we're heading east, we tend to lose time because we're heading east, we're going to lose a bit of time because we cross time zones. Sun rising in the east and setting in the west. But that's alright. Well, there's only 2 of us. There's not too many stops along here, so yeah, we'll stop for fuel only and a cup of coffee. So we might be able to do 650 or 700 k's today perhaps. Next stop for us this morning will be a small roadhouse called Aurelia. Not much there, pretty limited, but we'll get fuel there and a cup of coffee and then take it from there. A bit overcast today, a lot milder thankfully. Last night was a comfortable night's sleep. The night before that was damn cold. Here we are on Great Central Road. Hasn't been a lot of traffic and I wouldn't anticipate much. There's Chris, he's accounted for. 8:03, that's a good start. A torturous trip at that speed. You've got to feel sorry for him. Geez, I've never seen the road in this bad shape. The bike, because it's so heavily overloaded at the back there, a few cases of the tail wagging the dog, a couple of small minor tank slappers. But geez, yeah, they must have copped some rain out here, and they can't really afford to close the road because this is the lifeline for a lot of the remote Aboriginal communities. But geez, this is as bad as I've ever seen it. Okay. Well, we're here at Chukarelia. The next fuel stop is Warburton, 263 kilometres. That's just an isolated Aboriginal community, not much there. So we'll both refuel here, get a cup of coffee, and then get underway. Just talking to the bloke who manages the place, and all this rain came through only 48 hours ago. Glad we weren't here then, because we'd be struggling. And he did say that the local shire is a bit late when it comes to closing the road. So now some poor prick's got a job ahead of him with a grader, try and make good the damage. He did say that we've been through the worst of it, which is okay. I mean, it's dry enough for us to ride on. So yeah, 260 k's to Warburton. We'll stop halfway between here and there just to walk around the bikes. A bit of a break, but otherwise it's pretty much all the same. Rinse and repeat. This will turn to gravel pretty soon. Alright, welcome to Warburton. Please drive slowly. While we're here, Chris and I are both going to have to fill up our fuel bladders, because the next place up the road, Warrakurna, it's a couple of 100 k's away, but they'll be closed by the time we get there. And if we fill up our tanks and our bladders, that should give us enough fuel to get us to Yalara or Uluru. There won't be too much spare in the tank, but that should get us to there at least, providing we trim it back a bit and slow down. Typically there's only Opal available here. Yalara, 561 kilometres, so yeah, we'll have to fill it up to the absolute max. It's a very welcoming place, this one. Alright, we're about to leave Warburton. We've been here a bit longer than we would have liked. Picked up a straggler, like by the name of Perry, on a 1250. He's just travelling independently, and he's decided to tag along with us for no other reason than, I guess, to just play it safe. You don't want to have problems out here on your own. Could be a bit tricky. So yeah, he's agreed to tag along. He's got all the gear for bush camping. He's got food, he's got water, so he might as well enjoy the companionship of other blokes around the campfire. So yeah, we'll keep going for a couple of hours and then pull up somewhere. He's going to sit in between Chris and I, become a number two. Pull over a few kilometres down the road. He's just bought himself a 10 litre fuel jerry, because as I said earlier, Warrakurna is going to be closed by the time we get there, and all you're going to do is waste a couple of hours of daylight by hanging around waiting for them to open at 9:30 in the morning. So he's bought himself a 10 litre jerry so we can go straight past Warrakurna. Poor bloke had to pay $53 for the 10 litre jerry can. But when you think of where we are, and it's got to be easier than pushing. See ya. How random is that? We're in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, and the bloke there, Ross, he's from the BMW Motorcycle Club in Perth, and he knew that we were out here. His wife teaches remotely, and there's an Aboriginal community about 15 kilometres off the road here, and he's been following my spot tracker. He's been sitting on the side of the road for 30 minutes waiting for us, and he's just given us a cold drink, a can of Coke. How random is that? Anyway, it's getting late. We'll start looking for a place to pull up, I think. I've peeled off the main road. 1A track it just leads to an Optus something or another, but this will be alright. This will be alright for us, I think.
Might not be much firewood around, but we'll figure it out. No, this place is a bit devoid of firewood, so we'll keep moving. We've got enough daylight. Alright, morning of day 4, we're leaving our bush camp. We actually stayed on the old alignment of Great Central Road, a couple of 100 metres off the current alignment. So yeah, we'll get underway. First stop will be Warrakoona, I think. I misjudged a couple of things yesterday, did the wrong sums. So yeah, we'll stop in at Warrakoona. They should be open by the time we get there, I think. Oh, this is Warrakoona. Perry's got to do some sums here because he's just here to tick something off his bucket list, and that is to do Great Central Road, start to finish. So he's going to get up the end of the road in the Northern Territory, on the Northern Territory side, and then turn around and go straight back. But what he's got to do is do some sums to find out what his fuel range is going to be, because otherwise he could be in some strife, because there's not that many places along this stretch where you can just pull over and refuel. We are doing some roadworks on the Northern Territory side of Great Central Road, what they call the Outback Way. The intention is eventually to have it all sealed from Laverton all the way through to Winton in Outback Queensland, but that'll take 10 or 20 years, I think. It's a while away yet. Well, there are the alders. You know, you're coming to the end of Great Central Road, or this part of the Outback Way. When you see those, we'll get up to the end here and we'll turn right, head towards Uluru or Ayers Rock, where Mary will turn around and go back. Uluru. No matter how many times I see it, it's always a spectacular sight. Right, we've arrived at Yalara, which is the accommodation, the tourist hub that supports Uluru. We'll get a guts full of food, guts full of fuel, and then start making our way towards Alice Springs. We won't be there today. I expect we'll probably get there about noon tomorrow. Spend the day there doing some admin and a bit of resupply. I might fill up with some 98, some super duper stuff, just to try and offset some of the effects of the opal that we've been getting for the last 1,000 kilometres. Alright, my trip's over. Oh, listen to that. After I refueled, I was just walking around the bike. I thought, I don't know, just while we've been on the blacktop, it was just something about the bike that wasn't right. I thought it might have been tyres scrubbing out or something. Anyway, after I refueled, I was walking around the bike having a look, and I copped a hit a couple of 100 kilometres ago. It was a big hit. It hit a gully, hit a dip. that I didn't see because it was in the shadows. Anyway, I knew it was a big hit when it happened. I thought I might have blown a shock or something. It was, like I say, a big hit. But anyway, the bottom line is I've broken the torsion bar or the torque rod or whatever it's called at the back end of the bike. So yeah, my trip's over. I'm not going to be able to get that sorted out here. So I'll check in here at the caravan park, make some calls and come up with a strategy. Very disappointing.